A scream tore through the quiet Sunday morning before anyone even understood what was happening. Tires screeched, metal clashed, and a small, fragile body flew onto the gravel near the old pine trees by Miller's Road. For a split second, the entire town seemed to hold its breath, and then everything began to move in a blur because that was the moment a single father named Daniel Ward, still wearing his paint-stained work shirt, dropped everything and ran toward the chaos, unaware that his next actions would change the town forever. A broken bar and draw the eyes of the feared Hells Angels Motorcycle Club straight toward him. If you're watching this and you believe the world still has room for kindness, bravery, and second chances, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Daniel had been driving behind the group of bikers for several miles, heading home to his 10-year-old son, Noah. After finishing a weekend job, he wasn't afraid of the bikers, just cautious. Their jackets bore the unmistakable red and white patches of the Hells Angels, men known for their rough edges, unpredictable tempers, and unbreakable loyalty to their own. But what happened next was something even the harshest rumors could never prepare anyone for. A passing truck swerved too close, clipping the back wheel of the smallest bike, sending its young rider no older than Noah spinning across the road. The girl's helmet bounced away, rolling to Daniel's feet as if begging him to save her. Before fear could catch up with him, Daniel knelt beside her. The bikers were shouting, cursing, frozen in shock. But Daniel saw only the girl's pale face, her still chest, her lips turning bluish. He remembered the CPR training he had taken years ago when Noah had been diagnosed with asthma. His hands moved with instinct, pressing rhythmically, counting silently, ignoring the heavy boots gathering around him. One of the bikers, her father, as Daniel later learned, had dropped to his knees, tears streaking down the tattoos on his face, whispering her name, Lily, as though fragile syllables could wake her. Daniel kept going. Chest compressions, breaths, hope, fear. Then suddenly, miraculously, the girl coughed, gasped, and her eyes fluttered open. The father sobbed into his palms. The others stood in stunned, reverent silence. Even the rumble of their rattling motorcycles seemed to quiet, as if in respect for the moment. Daniel backed away, shaking from adrenaline, unaware of the magnitude of what he had just done or the world he was about to be pulled into. The ambulance arrived minutes later, carrying Lily away and leaving everyone in a silent, strange awe. The biker father, Ryder Hale, approached Daniel with the slow, deliberate step. He was a mountain of a man, leather vest heavy with patches, beard streaked with gray, eyes fierce enough to intimidate an entire bar. But when he spoke, his voice trembled. He thanked Daniela awkwardly, roughly, almost painfully, as if the words themselves were unfamiliar in his mouth. And then he said something that would ripple through the entire community. "You ain't just saved my daughter, broken bar, you saved me." That night, Daniel tried to return to his quiet, struggling life. A life where he juggled 2 jobs, scrapped together bills, and worried every day about giving Noah the future he deserved. He didn't expect anything from what happened to him. Saving a child wasn't heroism, it was simply what a father would do. But word traveled faster than he realized. By the next morning, whispers filled every diner and gas station. People talked about the single dad who gave CPR to a biker's daughter. But the biggest surprise came when dozens of powerful motorcycles lined up outside Daniel's small, worn-down rental home at sunrise. Ryder Hale and the Hells Angels stood waiting at his doorstep. Neighbors peeked through curtains, convinced Daniel had somehow stumbled into danger. But when Daniel stepped outside, Ryder handed him a small leather vest, a tiny, child-sized adult with Noah's name stitched on the back, a gift for his son. Then one of the older bikers pulled Daniel aside and told him something he would never forget. "You showed us a kind of loyalty that doesn't come from patches or club colors. You didn't hesitate, even though we scare half this town. That means something." From that day forward, the angels began appearing in ways Daniel never expected. When his car broke down, 2 bikers were already under the hood before he could call a mechanic. When he struggled to replace a broken fence, a dozen boots stomped into his yard, carrying lumber and tools, rebuilding not just the fence but nearly the entire backyard. For the first time in a very long time, Daniel didn't feel alone. But with their presence came rumors, judgments, and trouble. Some townspeople whispered that Daniel had gotten involved with dangerous men. Others claimed he was using the accident for attention. A local councilman even issued a formal complaint about biker gatherings near Daniel's home. Daniel felt torn between gratitude and fear, between the kindness he had received and the social pressure that weighed on him. He didn't want Noah to grow up being judged because of who stood beside them, yet the bikers kept his life steady during his hardest months. When Daniel's boss cut his hours, Ryder himself arranged odd jobs through local buzziness quietly, discreetly. When Noah was bullied at school for being the biker kid, 3 members attended the next school board meeting in suits, sitting calmly in the back like silent stone guardians. No threats, no chaos, just presence. And it worked. Still, Daniel worried he didn't want Noah growing too close, or people assuming the wrong things. So one evening, he gathered the courage to speak to Ryder privately. He tried to explain his concerns, his fears about the future, the pressure of the gossip. Ryder listened quietly, leaning against his bike, arms crossed but expression softening. He didn't get angry, he didn't argue. Instead, he said, "You did something no one else did that day. You saw a kid, not a biker. We want to do the same for you, but if you ever need space, we'll give you that too." It was respect. Real, pure, unexpected respect. Months later, the town's annual charity festival arrived. Daniel had always attended, but never participated. Money was tight. Life was tight. But this year, something different happened. As the event began, the roar of engines filled the air. The Hells Angels rolled in, not causing trouble, but leading a charity drive for emergency medical training, raising funds in Lily's honor. Danielle stood there, stunned, as Ryder took the microphone and told the crowd about the day Daniel saved his daughter, about how quick thinking and CPR training had changed their entire world. Then Ryder did something no one expected. He called Daniel onto the stage, wrapping an arm around him as if he were one of their own. The crowd applauded. Some cried. Even those who once feared the motorcycle club began to see them differently. Daniel felt something inside him shift, an acceptance, a warmth, a realization that he had become part of a story larger than himself, a story about redemption, unity, and the invisible threads that tie strangers together when fate demands it. And through all of it, Noah watched with wide, inspired eyes. He saw his father not as the tired man who worked late shifts and fixed old cars, but as someone who changed lives without meaning to. Someone brave, someone kind. If this story has touched your heart even a little, please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because your support truly helps stories like this reach more people who need a little hope. Before we end the broken bar, tell us in the comments, what part of this story moved you the most?